All right, I am finally continuing unit 12, 13, and 32. Jonah. And I had to pull it up on the iPad because I don't have a copy of the work. So let me clear this up. Awesome. I believe I left off on question number 3 on page 132. See if I can get rid of that glare. Here we go. All right, so it asks, or it states that the value of a certain stock in the stock market is tracked for several days. The information is presented in the graph. So I need my trend line, Harper, I need my trend line to kind of lay it on top here and see where it's going to go. So it says, which prediction can be made based on the data? So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. It says on day 10, the stock should have a value of approximately 20. Well, let's go here. If you look at day 10, it'll be like about right here. And it's already past 20 at 8. So this is not going to be a good estimate. Whoops. Jonah. On day 12, it says the stock should have a value of approximately 23. Well, let's extend my graph a little bit. This is about 9 right here, and then this will be about 10, 11, 12. So if I come up here, then the 12 should be about right here, which is past the 22, which should be about 23. So I think that this would be a good estimate and not 10 and 30, because if I'm at 10 and 30, that means my 10 would shoot, this pen is very sensitive, or the screen. That means my 10 would shoot way up here to the 30, and this is too large of an estimate. And then day 12, 36 is also too large. So these two are more reasonable, but the $20 estimate for day 10 is not enough. Then it says, looking here, so it says if day 8 is about 20, then if I double day 8 at about 20, that should put me at about day 16, and that should put my 20 at about 40. So it's asking about 40. So which one of these estimates to be about 16 days is going to be the best answer for this? All right, looking at number 1 on page 135, it says use the graph to answer questions 1 and 2. This scatter plot displays the data gathered on the population growth of Jefferson since 2000. So this is 2002, this is 2004, this is 2006, this is 2008, this is 2010, 2012, 2014. This stops at 2014. So it says, based on the trend line shown, which is the best prediction of the population of Jefferson in 2018? So I need to look over here. First of all, this is in thousands of people. So down here is 5,000 people in 2000. So would this B and D be reasonable estimates? No, because I want to know what it is 18 years from now. So if I look at my trend line and I zoom out just a little, this says 2018, zoom out a little bit more, and I put my line, maybe I need to zoom in a bit, and I put my trend line about right here. It's going to shoot up, and this is 14, the next one would be 16, and then the next one would be 18. So I would extend it to about right here, and then it would end up being up here, which is well beyond my 40 right here, because this is the line that I'm looking at as a cap of my data. So past 40,000. So looking at these estimates, I've got 43 and then I've got 50. So now I need to look at how they're skip counting. They're skip counting by 5s. So if I'm up here, this is 40, and then my Y would be at about 45,000. So I need to go a little bit higher than that because 43,000 isn't enough. So going past this, and these two aren't enough, eliminates 3 answers, and you should be able to estimate the best one from there. Number 2, it says, based on the data, which of the following could be true? The population of Jefferson in 2022 will likely to be fewer than 55,000. Well, if I'm going to 2022, that's 22, whoops, I've zoomed out too far, excuse me. That's 8 years beyond 40,000. And if I look at here, if I look at 8 years of growth, then that puts me from 5,000 to about 22,000. So 5 to 22, the difference there is about 17. So I want to add about 17 to my 40,000. So 40,000 plus about 17,000 should give me a decent estimate over here. On number 3, hold on, I lost my place. Oh, here we go. It says the scatter plot displays the results of a student's heart rate after completing different numbers of jumping jacks. Based on the trend line, which statement makes the best prediction about a student's heart rate after performing jumping jacks? So the jumping jacks they want to hone in on is 45. So if I look at my trend, I want to go 10 past this. So here's my trend line. And then I want to go to about here. It should be at the top of my graph. Yes, it should be at the top of my graph, but not all the way toward the top. Very close to the top. So very close to the top is 140. So I would estimate that it would be between 120 and 140. Be careful, y'all. All right, last 3. Mrs. Davis has a system for tracking pencils she loans to students. Students may take a pencil as long as they return or replace it. Mrs. Davis keeps track of the total number of pencils she currently has using a graph such as the one shown. As you can see, her pencil supply is going downward. Okay, she's getting less pencils the more she lends out. Sounds like a typical teacher. Approximately how many pencils will she have in her supply after 35 days? So I'm going to put my trend line here. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to see at about 35 days. These are counting by 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So about up here, this last line to the bold line, where will it likely fall? So if I have my number there and I look through my patty paper, I'll see that at about 35 days, it goes right here between these two numbers, 50 and 100. So I need to see about how many are between here and here. Then it says, predict how many days it will take for the pencil supply to run out. Circle the answer from the drop-down menu to complete the statement. It will take about blank days for the pencil supply to run out. So that's 0 pencils. So if I'm putting this back here, about how long will it take for my pencil supply to get here? So that means I need to extend this a little bit more. This is 35. This is 40. And then we've got 2 more spaces to go there. And remember, they're skip counting by 5. So this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and so on. All right, let's go on to unit 32. Page 321. All right, so Mr. Chen created a scatter plot to model the relationship between the number of questions on a test and student scores on the test. Which best describes the trend that exists between the number of questions on a test and a student's scores? Well, it looks like as the number of questions go up, the scores are going down. Okay, the more questions there are, the tighter you get. So this is going downwards. Now, it says, based on Mr. Chen's scatter plot, which type of association exists. You got to be careful here because it's still kind of going down, but it also curves. But if I could put a line there and it follows a downward pattern, then we could semi-call that linear. And I'm going to give y'all that answer because that one's kind of tricky. Number 3. Noble gases from the periodic table are colorless, tasteless, and odorless gases that are virtually non-reactive. The relationship between atomic mass and density of the gases is shown in the scatter plot. Guys, you're a little too loud. Which statement best describes the association that exists between the atomic mass and density of the noble gases? If I could put a line there and most of those points are going through it, you should know what type of association that is. Page 332, it says, weather conditions are recorded daily. The following scatter plot shows the dew point versus the maximum humidity for a given time period. I just have a blob of points here. Since I can't show that my points are going upward or show that they're going downward, I cannot assume that they're going to have a pattern at all to follow. But I can determine that there will be a pattern or there won't be a pattern. So there's 2 answers here that talk about patterns or non-patterns. You need to choose one of those answers. Number 2, it says, based on the scatter plot, which statement is a valid conclusion? As the dew point increases, the maximum humidity increases. Well, are they both going up? No. As the dew point decreases, the maximum humidity increases. They're not going down either. As the dew point decreases, the maximum humidity decreases. Again, they're still not going in any direction. There must be no association there. It's just random dew points and random humidities. Number 3. Ms. Ellis's 9 math classes investigated the link between regular hand washing and the incidence of flu. During the school year, 3 classes agreed to wash their hands 2 times a day, 3 classes agreed to wash their hands 4 times a day, and 3 classes agreed to wash their hands 6 times each day. The data from their investigation is shown in the graph. So as the number of times that we hand wash goes up, the number of flu cases go down. This is real world. The more you wash your hands, the less likely you are to get sick. The less you share things like drinks and food with your friends, the less likely you are to get sick. So if I can put this here and I look at my points, I see that they're following a trend. You need to determine which direction they are going. Also, if I could put a line there, you also need to determine that there is a type of pattern that gets followed along. Okay, this one's a dead giveaway. Look at the points. Where are they going? It's linear. This one's also a dead giveaway. Look at my trend line. Do they follow my trend line? Let me zoom in. Do they follow my trend line going upward or downward? Excuse me. And then this was one that we did in class. All of these points need to be plotted here on this graph. That means you need to run 32 and jump 60. Run 41 and jump 50, run 10 and jump 90, and plot those points each time. You should have 28 points, I believe, here. Then you need to look and see if there's a trend. Are they all going downward? Are they all going upward? Is it linear? As the number of hours spent watching TV goes up or down? What happens to our science scores? I think this is a no-brainer here. This is also a real-world situation. The more hours we spend watching TV, as that goes up, the more hours we spend on social media, as that goes up, what happens to our grades?